Hello everyone, this is Dave, and today I'm going to be making a wreath that you can carry over from Easter into the spring season. And my materials list for today, I have this foam wreath form, I have some yarn in a couple of different colors, glue gun glue sticks, I have my scissors, embroidery thread, and the embroidery needles to go along with that. I have this tea towel that I want to make a bunny out of. And I have some colorful twine or string. I have some green shiny ribbon that I'm also going to use as accents. And of course, I use twine to make the wreath. So that's everything that I'm going to be using today. Let's start with a little Wreath 101. This is just a green, repurposed old foam wreath ring. I believe it's 9.4 inches or 24 centimeters. It's a hard foam. That's what I'm going to be using today. So to start off, I'm actually going to use a whole bunch of glue from my glue stick, and I'm going to start kind of creating a little anchor for that twine so it doesn't move all around. So I throw some glue down on that wreath form, get a couple of strands in the glue as well, hold it in place, and then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to start wrapping that around like crazy. You've seen me, you may have seen me or may not. If you've watched my previous videos, I've done this same technique with yarn as well. And every now and then I just throw a little bit more glue down, wrap it around a couple of times, and get a couple of those strands in that pile of glue just to keep everything in place so it doesn't unravel. So again, I just keep rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. And honestly, when I first started, as always, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to take me forever to do. And really it doesn't. I mean, I think it was some music in the background while I did this, and I just kind of sang along, had my little crafting karaoke going on, if you will. And then I just kept rolling, and then here I am at the end, and I'm just going to throw a little bit more glue there. And that's going to be the anchor at the end. So again, I do the same thing, just roll it around a couple of times, get that twine in the glue, and then go to the back and add a little bit more glue as well. Make sure that's all nice and dry. Checking out my work to see if I'm happy with it. And now the glue should be semi-dry, so I'm just going to cut off that little extra there. And we're done wrapping our wreath form. And for this particular wreath, I wanted to make some pom-poms to kind of resemble grass, sort of. So I did have two different sizes of pom-poms, and this is the yarn that I'm going to use. And this is another yarn, which is a little bit thinner, that I'm actually going to use to tie the pom-poms together. Now for this, I did two sizes. One was 3 fingers and one was 4 fingers. Obviously everybody's fingers are different, so my 3 fingers was about 2.5 inches and my 4 fingers was about 3 inches. So that's kind of the sizing. I just kind of estimated. I didn't really measure anything. And then for this, I just wrap it around, and I believe anywhere between 50 and 60 wraps is what I did for each pom-pom. So I wanted them kind of a little bit full, but they didn't have to be, perfect because they were one side of it was going up against a wreath, if that makes sense. So here I am, I'm just taking the yarn off of my fingers, I'm laying it down in the center, and then I'm just going to do a double knot here. And I'm just going to pull that nice and tight. Now, I am not an expert in making pom-poms. I think this was probably the 3rd time I've ever made a pom-pom in my life. This is how I do it. I know there's certain tools out there that you can use to make life easy. You can use a fork or anything else, a piece of cardboard. I just find using my fingers in this method to be the way that I like. So all I'm going to do now is you take those loops, slide your blade from the scissors in between, and just give it a good cut. And that's really all you have to do. So you've finished one side, then I do the other side as well. Just chop that up, make sure all my loops are cut, then I kind of give it a good shake to see how it looks, and I'm like, yeah, I'm happy with that. So just take my string here that I tied it all together with, and now I'm just going to trim off. Now for this, I'm not exactly 100% perfect. I don't need it to be 100% round because the backside of it is going to go up against the wreath. So I don't need it to be a complete sphere. A sphere pom-pom, let's put it that way. So I'm just kind of chopping it up, and I want it to resemble a little bit of grass, so it's uneven, etc., etc. So once I'm happy with that, I just take that excess string that I tied it all together with, and I just chop that off. And there we go. My little pom-poms are done. Now, in the beginning, don't laugh at me, don't come for me for this. I wanted to sew a tea towel bunny, and here is the sewing disaster of Easter 2021 by Dave. I just had to show you, not everything works out. This was just a horrible mess, and what I decided to do was use felt to create my bunny instead of the tea towel. So obviously the tea towel did not work, nor did my lack of sewing skills. I really had to laugh at myself for that. Here I am, I'm just actually tracing out a bunny shape to use for my template. So instead of the tea towel, I'm going to use felt now. So I just created a little bunny. I folded the paper in half such that I have a nice even template. And then once I'm happy with the size and the outline, I go ahead and I chop it up. Now, when I went to my felt stash, I only had one piece of white felt left. So I knew I had to be very careful in my sewing when I did my felt bunny. So here's my template. It's all ready to go. I'm going to grab my one solitary piece of felt that I have left. I'm going to fold it over and chop that in half. And believe it or not, my template fit absolutely perfectly. I couldn't ask for anything more perfect, to be honest. So here I am tracing it out and getting my outline down on that felt. I'm going to add pins to it because I don't want that felt to move all around, and I don't want it to move all around when I'm sewing it as well. This time around, I wanted everything to go smoothly. So then I just chop out my template, and that's really it. Of course, I'm still laughing in my head about that freaking disaster there of my sewing. I have to laugh at myself, so not everything goes according to plan when I'm making my wreaths. So here I am, I'm taking a kind of a lavender color embroidery thread with the embroidery needle, and I am just sewing all around the edge of my felt bunny. I am not a tailor. I don't sew very often at all. If any, I think I sew a button on a dress shirt every now and then, maybe once a year or something like that. I don't know this technique that I'm using, what it's called, I should say. I think it's a quilting stitch. I could very well be wrong. Basically what it is you put a stitch through, then you put that same stitch through the loop that you create. You can let me know in the comments below if you know what stitch this is. I apologize. I learned this in home economics class back in high school, and really that's like, 30 years ago, I think. But yeah, I think it's called the quilting stitch, but don't quote me on that. So here I am, I'm finished with my stitching. I'm going to stuff it just a little bit. I wanted a little bit of 3-dimension to my bunny. And all I'm using is ripped up pieces of cotton balls. And I'm going to stuff those in there with my pencil and get them where I want them to go. Like I said, I'm not stuffing this to capacity, but if you want to stuff it to capacity, that's totally up to you as well. It's your project and your choice. I just use a little bit of stuffing to get just a little bit of a 3D effect on there. And once I'm done, I just continue on with that same sewing technique, and I sew up the rest of my bunny such that that fluff doesn't pop out. And at the very end, I do a little knot to keep everything nice and secured. And I used just a little bit of thread. And I'm done. How awesome is this little bunny? I love him. He's so cute. So, My twine is done, my twine wreath is done, my little rabbit is done, my pom-poms are done. Now my favorite part is putting it all together. So I just decide where I want my little rabbit. And before I started filming, I started playing around with the placement of the pom-poms. And I made, I think it was 5 of the large and 5 of the small ones in total. I didn't know how many I was going to use, how I was going to do it. So I figured less is more. Or more is... Oh, I just made myself laugh. More is better than less. Let's put it that way. So here we go. I'm just placing everything on, holding it down, kind of taking a look at it, and fiddling around with my pom-poms, kind of figuring out where I want to go, how much is too much, how little is too little, so I want that perfect balance. So I'm just putting on the final touches here of those pom-poms, and I'm happy with that. I think I had 2 or 3 of them left over. And here I'm kind of fiddling around. Do I want to add another one? What do I want to do? I'm going to put that other one right here, and then now I have 2 left over. So I'm happy with that. And what I'm going to do to add a little bit of color and a little bit of spring/Easter flair to this is I have these little small styrofoam glitter eggs. And I thought they were really cute. I wish they had all of these, like a mixed bag of colors. Let's put it that way. They had a lot of them, like 1 bag of purple, 1 bag of pink, 1 bag of yellow, 1 bag of blue. And it would be so awesome if they had 1 bag that had a mixed color variety in it. But I was happy with the pink because I bought these ones, and the blue ones. So I was happy with that, and the color actually turned out really nice. I really enjoyed it. So I just keep adding on until I'm happy with it. And then once I'm all done, I clean up my workspace. And I also made this little garland. You'll see it in a couple of seconds, out of the tea towel disaster. And all I did was use that colorful string. You'll see it here. Cut those little tea towel bits into triangles and attached it to the top of my wreath. So there we go. A little Easter wreath that you can carry on into the spring season as well. I really hope you enjoyed today's wreath. I had a lot of fun making it. And if you did, maybe hit that like button down below and leave me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye for now.